Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Reece Deans of Creative Space Podcast. Normally, I would be doing an introduction right now. I would be doing an introduction and saying who I've got on the show and what me and Pippa are going to be talking about. But the thing is, I'm on my own today. That's right, I am on my own today. And the reason why I'm on my own is because I've been very busy with myself in terms of performances on stage, and also with the fact that Pippa's been busy, and also I couldn't get a guest on the show in time to do the opening of October. So another as well is I've been struggling a lot with equipment. One of my microphones decided to pack in on me, and every time I seem to be connecting my phone to microphones, etc., it just doesn't seem to work. So guys, if anyone is a tech genius, can someone help me out? I've got two microphones here, and none of them seem to work on my phone. One of them doesn't seem to work on my PC. The other one seems to work, but I struggle with trying to find the balance of the volume and the echo of the system. Now, I'll tell you what it is. It's called, bear with me people, it's called a Fifine Technology microphone that I haven't used in a while, but I tried using it, and the microphone seemed to pick up a lot of echo within the room, and I didn't want it to do that. So if anyone here wishes to, someone give me advice on what would be the best microphone to use just to connect to my phone, that would be tremendous. That would be brilliant. And also just to give some advice on what's the next step for podcasting, because I want to take that next step and get better equipment, which I'm trying to do as we speak, and see where we go from here. Also, I've also just, I've said also twice then, been doing a lot of performances recently. The first one being, I performed Priscilla, Queen of the Desert back in July, which was during my birthday, and that was fun to do. That was absolutely fantastic. It was at the Barry Memo Arts Centre. Brilliant musical. I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend the film. Also, I've written and performed one of my plays called A Writer's Guide to Madness of Success and Failure, which I put forward to the Other Room Theatre Company back in May time, and they got back to me in June, and then from then on, me and Lewis Arnold rehearsed together, directed it, produced it, etc., and got it on stage in front of a capacity of 50 seats. So a lot of people turned up on the first night, which was about 20 odd, but the second night only 4 turned up, which I'm very grateful that people did come and watch. But it was a very overwhelming experience, but I'll probably explain more in the future and talk about it then. And the third night, it was half the capacity of the theatre venue. So I've been very, very busy. But guys, I'm back now. I'm here to do more Creative Space episodes. If you haven't as well, make sure you check my YouTube channel. It's Creative Space Podcast. Obviously, it's called Creative Space Podcast. I've been releasing visual clips of all my recent or past episodes, just a snippet here and there to give you guys a taste of what I've been doing with the show and who have been on my podcast. Also, a lot of people have been asking me, when am I going to do my Deansy Boy Show YouTube videos again? I don't know. Every time I seem to be dedicated or committed to doing one thing, I fall out of love with the other. There's so many things that I can do right now, but it's just trying to find the oomph, let's just say, trying to find the motivation of getting into it. But let's get down to it now. The podcast today is none other than professional wrestling itself. Professional wrestling, for some of you guys who are fan of it or some who are not fan of it, it's professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is a form of entertainment. It's involved creativity. You got your heroes, you got your villains, you got your storylines. It's one big soap opera with a lot of bumps in the ring, a lot of big grown muscular men or women slamming each other to the ground. And yeah, that's what it is, this professional wrestling. What I've got as well for this episode is a treat for you guys. I've got not one, not two, but 3 podcast recordings that I'd done on my Deansy Boy Show podcast that I did many moons ago. And one of the things that I tried doing on that Deansy Boy Show podcast was to get as many wrestlers on the show. I wanted to jump on the bandwagon, you see, in terms of trying to follow the likes of What Culture or Wrestle Talk or any other wrestling podcasting system or channels, and just following that category by getting as many people on the show. And let's just say I got to about, I'd say 20 episodes, and I fell out of love with it straight away. I knew that it wasn't going to be for me, and I didn't want to do it ever again. But I have been talking to my friend Lewis, who I did one of my plays with, and we have been talking about doing a wrestling podcast in the future, but it's just finding the right time. And the reason why I wanted to talk about professional wrestling on this podcast, because like I said, you got your heroes, you got your villains, you got your storylines, you got everything. And it was something that I wanted to record on the roundabout the time when Clash of the Castle WWE came to Cardiff. And you see, ever since then, I just wanted to tell the stories of why I love professional wrestling. And I'll explain this right now. The very first wrestling match I ever watched was between Mankind, or Mick Foley, going against The Undertaker in King of the Ring 1998 in a Hell in a Cell match. Now, I was about 2 years old at the time, so obviously I'm not going to remember as much, but I started watching wrestling since I was 3.5, maybe 4 years old, and I remember a lot at that age. And I will never forget just watching a VHS tape recording of that match and just seeing Undertaker throwing Mick Foley off the top of the cage and also chokeslamming him through the cage. Ever since then, I have fallen in love with wrestling. Non-stop, just followed WWE, AEW, TNA, so many wrestling promotions across the globe, and I can't get enough of it. Another as well that I was really proud of, to speak of The Undertaker, I met the dead man. It was one of my first heroes of mine just growing up, and I never seemed to think that I was going to get that opportunity to go and meet The Undertaker. But when he came to Cardiff and when WWE came to Cardiff, it was the perfect opportunity, and I did not care how much the tickets were going to cost for VIPs. I wanted to go there. And when he did his the Dead Man show, his speeches or Q&As or whatever you want to call it, I'd had that honour to sit in the first few rows and listen to the dead man speak and drink a couple of Jack Daniels. And I mean, the guy is a colossal. He's built like a unit, guys. I mean, whoa. If you think they're big on television, but when you meet him in person, my God, it's a whole different story. Now, first of all, of all the podcasts that I did in the past, the 3 I done that I had guests on the show. Now, I've had a variety of guests in terms of wrestling when I was on the Deansy Boy Show podcast. And the 3 wrestlers I got here for you today are none other than Bret the Hitman Hart, Billy Gunn, and Raven. The first one I'm going to do is show you the Raven recording and how it all began. Now, when Comic-Con was coming into Cardiff, I think it was the Showmasters, Cardiff Film and Comic-Con, I started doing a podcast episode there and then for the Deansy Boy Show, and I've interviewed Cherry Bomb, who is going by Bunny, I think, in AEW. That's how it all began. And I remember, and never forget this, I remember watching Colt Cabana record his Art of Wrestling podcast in Cardiff, which was, I think, the very first live podcast recording in front of an audience that he did, I think. And he had David Hart Smith, so the British Bulldog's son, and Hardcore Holly. And ever since then, I wanted to do a podcast show, so I started experimenting. And one of the first people that I had on the show was Raven. And he was doing a one-man show in Newport. And I'm telling you now, Exposure Wrestling Entertainment was the promotion that was doing it. And he came over to this community centre in Newport, and there was not many people there, to be completely honest with you. There was about 15 people max. And I asked Raven, and I asked the promoter, Nigel, his name is Nigel Fleming, if I could speak to him after the show. He said no problem, and we waited hours on end. I mean, we waited until the community centre closed, basically. So me and Aaron Langmead, who was a mate of mine, he waited along with me, and Raven came out. He sat down. He was counting his dollar bills. It had to be about, I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000 in his hands. He was just counting it. And then as soon as he put it in his pocket, he then went, right, let's go. Let's do it. And then we started to have a chat, and then we asked a couple of questions, and he was cool about it. He was smooth, but the community centre people were so impatient in regards to the fact that they were supposed to be closing and we were still there. So it was amazing. And by the time we actually finished the recording, we were actually standing up. Aaron was holding the computer, I was holding the microphone, and me and Raven were back and forth talking as we were heading out of the building. But I'm just going to show you guys the very first podcast interview I did with the former WWE superstar. And it was me and Raven at Newport in one of the community centres. And this is how it all went down. Hey guys, welcome to the Deansy Boys Show. I am your host, Reece Deans. I am with my good friend
Aaron Langmead.
And we're at the Pill Millennium Centre here with the ECW WWE legend himself, Raven. Raven, thank you for coming on the show. I know you've got a busy schedule. I'll keep this short and sweet for you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And well, I want to start off with ECW because you went to ECW and you just became this big household name. Was you expecting to become this household name in ECW? Was you expecting this big reaction at all?
Not to be arrogant, but yeah, I knew, because I knew what I was doing. I mean, I knew if I was given the time to deliver that I could. And that's really a lot of it. I mean, you know, I've always been a firm believer, and this is what was great about the territory system, was if you couldn't deliver, you weren't on top. You know, you had to draw money. And it wasn't based on, and sure, there were people who got booked, you know, because they were friends with somebody, which is fine. I mean, there's no problem with getting your friends jobs as long as they're not in a position they're not qualified for. You know, nepotism is okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I do have a problem with guys getting opportunity after opportunity that always fail, and then guys who deserve an opportunity aren't getting it. Now, granted, I burnt a lot of bridges, so a lot of it's my fault. But I knew if I got a fair shake in ECW, that I would score huge, and but I have to thank Paulie equally because he gave me the opportunity.
Well, Paul Heyman, he's always been a big influence in professional wrestling, but during your time in ECW, there was always a lot of conflict between Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman. When you went bouncing back and forth to WCW and ECW, during your second period with WCW, a lot of ECW guys jumped ships, but some were not treated as equal in the sense that they were just there because Eric Bischoff wanted to put ECW out of business. Is that true? Or
No, not at all. He didn't want to put him out of business. Paulie had convinced him that some of the people that Eric brought in that he thought were really going to get over were just Paulie's heroics. I mean, not that they were, bad, but they just weren't. They didn't live up to the hype. But Paulie was a master of accentuating the positive and hiding the negative. So a lot of people that were in ECW were exposed when they went other places because they didn't. They didn't have Paulie editing them, because Paulie didn't show whole matches. He showed, clips, bits and pieces, interviews, and I mean, I've seen him sit with people, I won't say who, for 2 hours trying to get a 30-second promo. I mean, that to me is ridiculous. And I said, Paulie, why do you do that? And he's like, because when they hit, they score big, and so he's willing to put that time in. So you got to give him credit for that. My only problem was that I had to wait for the guy to get done, and before I could go, because Paulie liked to screw with me because it entertained him. And because I'd like to irritate him, so he would get me back by making me go wait till everybody was done to do promos. So I'd get him back. So then I would get him back by getting more and more drunk and pilled up, and then annoying him while he was doing everybody else's promos. So it was a big vicious circle of tomfoolery and shenanigans.
Well, that's actually one of those funny stories, and it's interesting to hear from you, because you were one of the ECW originals and that. When you jumped to WWF, I mentioned this in the questions. It was the WrestleMania 17 triple threat hardcore match with you, Kane, and the Big Show, and you told me all the wacky stuff. But what actually came down to you three going into WrestleMania 17, considered one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time? What actually came to that idea of like, yep, we're going to do this triple threat match?
No idea. Vince I don't even think he knew I was in WCW. I think he thought I went to ECW and was, because, I mean, I knew Vince pretty well, because I was an associate producer of Raw and co-host on a lot of the shows, and I was being groomed to be a writer, under a booking team, back when it was only Pat and Bruce. Before there was a whole slew of regular writers, I was already being groomed to be a writer. And there was no position like that, because, I was groomed to be a booker at that point, because it wasn't writers, it was just Pat, Bruce, and Vince. And so I knew Vince pretty well. And when I left and went to ECW, I don't think he ever, because he doesn't, he doesn't really follow the business, the rest of the business, because he's too busy with his own business. So I don't think he, until Nitro came along, and then he would follow the Bischoff stuff, and the main stuff but, I wasn't in the main stuff. I was right below the main stuff. So, I don't think he was aware of me being in anywhere but ECW. So he thought that, so to him, I made good in a small promotion, but I still didn't prove myself on a national stage. And so, when I came back, he was surprised. Well, first of all, I burnt my bridge when I left pretty badly. First of all, nobody quits WWE, and then so aside from the fact that you don't quit on them, I also burnt it in many other ways, interpersonally, and so that when I came back, he wasn't so excited about me returning to begin with. And because of that, and because of the fact that he didn't see me as the talent that I feel that I was and became, he was rather surprised to see me succeed the way I did with the hardcore division. he just threw me in there to give me something to, put him in something, like put him in there, because of ECW. So I just stuck him in the hardcore division. And then to see me flourish, he was rather surprised, which he did tell me later. And so I guess basically I'm not sure if that was the end of my run in the hardcore division. No, I don't think it was. I think because then I did Judgment Day with Rhino. So yeah, I think so. Basically, he needed a spot for Kane and the Big Show, and didn't have a place for him. So he put them in the hardcore thing because there's always you can always guarantee an action-packed match, and so because they were in it, I was actually able to be in much bigger spots, I think, than they would have planned. They wouldn't have given me such great spots, with through the plate glass window and driving the golf carts and all that, if I wasn't in there with Kane and Big Show. But because they wanted them to make sure Kane succeeded, and Big Show to a lesser extent, but still, because I know what Big Show. Well, Big Show told me what he made, and I know what I made, and I can assume what Kane made, and I think Kane made more than all of us. Big Show made more than me, but less than Kane, and I think I know I made less than the two of them. So obviously that's how Vince, saw us, that's his prerogative, and Kane had been there for years, so did the Big Show. So point being is that the whole match was I was in a lucky position at that point because that was being in the right time in the right place, because I just flourished in the hardcore division. They needed something for those two guys, which just happened to be at at WrestleMania, and turned out it was also the biggest ever, and it was in the Astrodome where they had the track around the back so they could have the golf carts, and it had a lot of places to do weird hardcore stuff. So it was one of those things. I was the right guy in the right place doing the right thing. Of course, I've been the wrong guy at the wrong time, doing the right thing, and I've been the wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing, or the right guy or the wrong guy in the right place, and the right guy in the wrong place, and sometimes and generally I ended up burning a bridge.
Well, that's always the funny stories, and it is one of my favourite hardcore matches. Now, my friend Aaron, he's a big fan. He's going to ask you a question.
Not that big.
He's going to ask you a question, then I'll ask you a final question, and I'll let you get on your way. And thank you so much for taking your time and to have this in it.
Am I supposed to score who asks a better question out of you and Aaron?
You can whoever loses, you could put us in a DDT or something.
No, I have to charge you for that.
Okay then. Right, Aaron, take it away, pal.
After your 3-year run with the company, you went to TNA. During your time, you had many memorable matches, including the likes of Jeff Hardy in a tables match during lockdown, Abyss, Brother Hunt, Rhino, Jeff Jarrett, and so many more. Looking back, what was it like for you?
I enjoyed it. I really did. Because I really was unhappy with the way my career finished up at WWE, and I was afraid that was how my national career would end. And so I was happy to get it one last shot. I wasn't used completely the way I wanted, but I can't say I wasn't used well. I just wasn't used fantastic. So I was used well enough that I was able to end my national stage career in a much better place than if I would have had to end it, with WWE.
Right, and final question now. Where does the future hold for Raven?
The future holds my ride getting upset because we're getting kicked out of the building where we're filming this, or recording this.
Yep.
We're leaving in 5 seconds.
We're leaving in 5 seconds, yeah.
And that's as far as the future. I don't look very far ahead. I don't look back ever, or rarely ever. So I'm not one to dwell on the past, but I'm also not one to dwell on the future. And so just take it a day at a time.
Well, thank you, Raven, for coming on the DDT.
Aaron's question was way better.
I'm going to get in the DDT now. Well, thank you, Raven, for coming on the DDT Boys show. It means a lot. And I'm Reece Deans. I'm your host of the DDT Boys show. We're just leaving now. We're going to get out quick. So I'm Reece Deans.
I'm Aaron Langley.
And this is DDT Boys show. Good night. Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more, look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB. Or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. So that was it. That was me and Raven, and of course my friend Aaron Landmead on the show. That was I'll never forget that, because you could do anything, and at that time, when I say you could do anything to go to the limit of trying to get someone on your podcast. And for someone who had basically no money, no finances, and not really the best equipment or even a studio, I felt like I did myself proud. I felt that I can give myself a pat on the back for doing that, and it's there. You know, the recording is there. It's not going to go away. I've still got it on my computer as a file, so I was really proud of that. I was really proud of that voice recording. So that was me and Raven. Now, the first thing I wanted to tell you guys about professional wrestling, and for some of you who are not a fan of wrestling fans can be very, I'd say, territorial. There's a majority, I'm not going to say a minority, but a majority of a wrestling fan group who love their WWE. There are some who love their AEW. There are some who love their TNA. There's some who love their New Japan Pro Wrestling or the British Wrestling, etc. Now, on media, especially social media, you're going to get a lot of fans who are pro WWE or pro AEW. They're going to defend to the death. For me, I'm very eclectic when it comes to wrestling shows. I love wrestling purely for the storytelling, for the matches itself, and for the wrestlers. But you do come across a lot of people on social media, and maybe on camera as well, and they get very territorial. If it was an AEW match and on YouTube, you're watching it on YouTube, people, and you're going to get some comments saying, excuse my language, fuck AEW, this is crap, this is rubbish, I'm pro WWE. And you're going to get the same when AEW fans are going to comment on WWE matches and how rubbish are they. Now, I'm not like that. I can be very critical in terms of how the matches are done or how the storylines are done. But for me, it doesn't really matter. I'm not pro WWE, I'm not pro AEW, I'm very pro wrestling, if you get what I mean. I mean, I love the wrestling business, and one of the things that I've always looked back on is growing up, I've always wanted to be involved with wrestling in whatever capacity. And I remember sending an email to a wrestling training facility somewhere in South Wales, asking if I can apply and do some training, and they sent me like an application, and I sent it off, but nothing came back from them. And a few months later down the line, I sent in an application again, and they told me, well, Reese, you've already sent an application, you didn't turn up. And I turned around and said, well, you didn't give me any confirmation, and I had other things to do. So I figured there and then that maybe it wasn't for me, but maybe not. Maybe I just didn't look at it the way other people could look at it when you're listening to it. So I'm going to go on to another thing as well, just going back on wrestling fans and how territorial they can be. You're not going to win a lot of people over, and that's one of the hardest things about professional wrestling, is that even though it's for everyone, it could be for anyone. There's many types of stories and many genres within that system, that structure. Let's use WWE, for example. We've had the return of Bray Wyatt, and I mean, Bray Wyatt can be, in the element of horror because of the way he's very dark and he's very mystique, especially The Undertaker and Kane. They were monsters that you could follow into the horror genre. Then you get your typical action movie heroes, you like the Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, etc. There's many ways of doing it. Sometimes it's very hard to convince a wrestling fan who are pro WWE or pro AEW just to say, look, love it for what it is. Love what wrestling is. It's for everyone. And if it's not your cup of tea with WWE, then there's always AEW. And if AEW is not what it is for your taste, then you can go and watch TNA Impact or New Japan Pro Wrestling or AAA in Mexico, whatever. The best thing about wrestling today is that there's so many promotions that anyone can just pick and choose whatever they like, or you can pick and choose whatever wrestling matches that you like on various or variety of wrestling shows, and you can live the dream. So to many wrestling fans out there, please just enjoy wrestling for what it is. It's wrestling. We love it. Come on. And especially about loving it, here is the next guest on my show. So months later, I messaged Nigel, and he was doing a show in Cardiff, a Q&A show again. And this time it was with Badass Billy Gunn. And I asked Nigel if there was any possibilities of interviewing him after the show, or after the entire experience, and he said that's not a problem. So I went down to the Cardiff Motorpoint Arena. I sat there, I bought a ticket, I sat there, I met Nigel, and I asked him again if it was okay, and he had no problems with it. It was just down to Billy Gunn if he wanted to do it. So after the speeches and after meeting and greeting with him, he signed an Intercontinental title belt, and he had pictures with a lot of people and signing autographs. I waited outside until everyone was seen, and then Nigel took me into the dressing room, and there was Billy Gunn sat there, and the man was just freaking huge. I mean, his biceps were just bigger than my head. But what a cool guy Billy Gunn is. A lot of people say he can come across as a bit of a dick or a bit rude, but man, the guy was so passionate and so cheerful and so bubbly. I just thought, man, what a great guy. I grew up watching Billy Gunn, especially in WWE or WWF as it was called then, and he was happy to answer my questions, and he was just so happy to be there, and I was just happy to listen to the guy. He was awesome. And you know what? I just want you guys to listen to it and see what you think. So here it is. It's me and Billy Gunn on the Deansy Boy Show podcast, but it's now on the Creative Space podcast. Enjoy, guys. Right. Hey guys, welcome to the Deansy Boy Show podcast, and I'm here at the Cardiff Motorpoint Arena, and I'm sat here next to the one and only, the badass, former Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion, Hardcore Champion, the badass Billy Gunn. Billy, thank you for helping me do this project and coming on the show. It means a lot.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Glad to do it. Hopefully it'll turn out right for you. It might not, so don't put that on me if it doesn't turn out right. That's not my fault. It's your fault because you're doing this. So you got to take the blame.
Yeah. Just a quick question. You before you started off in the professional wrestling business, you were a bull rider. Mm-hmm. I want to know about that because a lot of people have always asked you wrestling questions. Tag team this, hardcore that, Intercontinental.
Because that's way more interesting than the riding bulls and training horses thing.
Yeah. But what was it like for you as a bull rider?
It was great. I grew up doing that my entire life. That's what my life plan was. Did it since I was a little bitty kid. I mean, I was on a horse before I could walk. I loved it. I did it all through high school, went to college doing it, went to college finals, went pro. And then one day it just wasn't fun for me anymore. And when you're doing things that dangerous, a sport that dangerous, if it's not fun and you're not fully committed, it's the same thing with wrestling. If you're not fully committed, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's even worse there. So I just one day just didn't want to do it anymore, and it wasn't in my heart like it used to be. And then that's what led me into the wrestling business. But I loved it when I did it. That's my whole childhood.
Just to go into of course, WWF, when you were tag team champions with Chuck, with the whole, now in today's world, the LGBTQ community and everything, right, would that have worked in today's day and age of wrestling?
It could have, but it would have had to been maneuvered just a little bit different because when me and Chuck did it, it was just all out. It was all out craziness. It wasn't anything that offensive, but it was very suggestible. You college people know better words, so you can insert the words there because I'm not good with words. I think it was a little bit over the top at first. I mean, we could have toned it down to fit what today's society would have taken, but I feel it would have been, I feel maybe today people don't have the sense of humor they had back then, so it might not work. But we would sure have tried if they'd have let us.
Right, the Greatest Royal Rumble has just gone past. WrestleMania's gone past, but in today's tag team division, we've had Braun Strowman with a 12-year-old kid as tag team champion.
Which was ridiculous, by the way, and it insults what I've worked so hard to do. By the way, in case.
I was going to say, I was with my mates when we just sat there watching. I'm thinking a lot of people who've held the tag team titles are going to be pissed off.
Yeah, and I get it story-wise, and what they were trying to do is understand that, let him do it by himself and not have tag titles on the line, because it just kind of, for me, it kind of hits close to home and makes it really not that sufficient. And I worked hard, me and, the whole tag division works hard to make it what it is, and they just kind of pooped on it.
Well, what's your thoughts on the tag team division now then?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I think there's some tags coming up that are going to be good, and I think there's going to be some more maneuvering around, because I think if we watch the Usos and the New Day one more time, I'm not going to be able to stomach it. Not that they don't have good matches, that's not what I'm saying, but it's only so many times I can watch them work.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, but they just need to filter in more people. They just need to filter and make that division mean something. And I think, and not tooting my own horn, I think the last time they actually meant something is the last run we had again with them, right? It was always seemed like when you need the tag titles to mean something, you bring in the heavy guns. No one, pun intended, the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah. That's a great pun intended as well. Just to clarify on the hardcore title now, of course, they're not doing it, PG, political cricket. But when you were hardcore champion, I heard when I was doing my research that it was you and the Road Dogg, you were going to have like an Intercontinental title hardcore, and next they swapped.
Yeah, it was storyline wise of what they were going, because everybody had pictured me for the Intercontinental run and then him as a hardcore, because he is a hardcore guy when you get right down to it. There's nothing hardcore about what I do. I'm a very finesse kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then they put that on me, and I just wanted to run away and quit. Because that just means that anybody at any time can hit me with things. I don't like to be hit with things. I like to see them coming at least before I get hit with things. But it was like a 24/7 deal with that. So like I'm having to walk around my house and mow my yard and look over my shoulder to see if somebody's going to whack me with something.
So final question, right? Where does the future hold for the one and only Billy Gunn?
I have a plot right outside my house that has a big stone on it that says, "Rest in peace." Like it went like really quiet. Everybody got really serious. Like, oh my God, already? I want to open a school of my own and just kind of give back to, I guess, the younger guys that want to learn something and learn how to get over, and learn whatever I can teach them, whatever I have to teach. I don't know it all by no means, and that's not what I'm saying, but I have a piece of the puzzle that can get to make them an all-around person, I feel. So I'd like to give back.
Well, thank you very much for taking your time and the opportunity to have this interview, and thank you so much, and all the best in the future. So this is the one and only Billy Gunn signing off, and thank you very much for going on the Deansy Boys
And
show.
if you don't get an A for this project, don't blame me.
Oh, I won't blame you. I'll blame Shane Douglas. And we'll see you very soon. So yeah, that was me and Billy Gunn on that Deansy Boys show podcast. What a fun time that was to be as a wrestling fan. Now, I'm going to get very serious here. Now, normally, as a wrestling fan, you're going to get a lot of criticism from wrestling fans here, there, and everywhere. But you're also going to get a lot of criticism and a lot of patronizing comment from non-wrestling fans. Now, for some of you guys who are not wrestling fans, I hope you understand that I'm not taking a jab at you. If you don't like wrestling, you don't like wrestling. There's a lot of things I don't like that maybe you guys like, and I'm not going to tell you what to like or what to dislike. But we get this all the time as wrestling fans. Growing up, I have always had this, I can't remember, this shower of comments going left, right, and center. You could call it a storm of comments where, all right, when you were little, you always believed that wrestling was real and how, I don't know, how physical it was, how real it was, and how it was happening right in front of your face. But when you get to a certain age where you do understand that it's quote unquote not real, and you know it's predetermined, and you know that it's all staged, you respect it even more as a wrestling fan. You appreciate what the wrestlers go through in order to entertain us. And I'm really grateful for that. But there are comments where, I mean, I'm 26 years old, guys, and I still get people coming up to me going, you know, it's fake, right? You know, wrestling's fake. It's very fake. The fake word, it's so patronizing, yet it's so demeaning, and, you know, it's not even used to the right context. And every time I've had a conversation about it with people who don't like wrestling, and like I said, you don't like wrestling, and some people have said they don't get it. Well, that's absolutely fine. If you don't get it, you don't watch it, that's fine. But don't go telling me what it is, because I know what wrestling is. I know people who do wrestling for jobs and careers and do it for fun, and it's a form of entertainment. Now, when people come up to me and say the words, "Oh, you know it's fake, right?" I always turn around and make a sly remark by saying, well, so is Star Wars, but I still believe in the Force. I get a lot of people who watch, you know, EastEnders, Coronation Street and Emmerdale, and I still see it on social media, and I still even see it in public today, that a lot of people would go, oh, I can't believe what Phil Mitchell did to his son Ben, or what was Kat Slater doing, well, oh my god, what is going on? And I'm thinking, you know, it's fake, right? You know they're not called Kat Slater and Phil Mitchell, you know they got real names. And when you get some people saying it to me, I have to shake my head. And when people say to me that the world of professional wrestling is fake, I literally, and when we get a proper, and I've had it before, I've had loads of people who want to know why do you like it, Reese? Well, what's so special about it? I turn to them and go, look, when you say the word fake, what do you mean by fake? And some people have said, oh, it's not real in terms of they don't get hurt, or that's all made out of rubber when they hit them with the chairs and everything. And I just think to myself, well, if you think it's fake, go and look up online and watch, you know, Mick Foley matches or some of the dangerous stunts and everything. I know they're trained to learn how to fall properly, but then there are times, I mean, the great Jim Ross, one of the greatest commentators, play-by-play commentators in professional wrestling history, has said it best. How do you learn how to fall off a 20-foot ladder? You know, how do you learn how to fall in such a way, falling off 20 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet in the air, and not get hurt? It's clearly next to impossible. Because if, like I said about my first wrestling match that I watched, which was Mick Foley versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match, right? Mick Foley, when he got thrown off the top of the cage, it was all planned. It was all planned. They were going to go for it. But Mick Foley got a dislocated shoulder because of that. But he still got back up onto the cage, and then got chokeslammed through the cage. That wasn't supposed to happen. And that was real, and he nearly died. He nearly got killed. and he still talks about it to this day, and it's one of the highlights of his career, as is the Undertaker's. But I'm not going to keep using the Hell in a Cell match as an example. I mean, if anything, if I was going to use an example, I would use the death of Owen Hart as an example, even though I think it's extremely unfair, because he didn't die from a move that gone wrong, even though there has been a lot of wrestlers who have suffered, near fatal injuries. But I'll mention Owen Hart. I mean, the great Owen Hart, part of the Hart Foundation and the Hart family. I mean, he fell to his death. He was portraying this superhero gimmick in the late 90s for WWF, and he was supposed to descend from the rafters, and of course whatever happened, something broke or something came off and he fell to his death. That's one of the things I always say to people. If you think that's fake, look at this. Another example is Darren Drozdov. Now, some of you guys probably don't know who Darren Drozdov is, but I recommend looking at Beyond the Mat. That's another way of looking behind the scenes of professional wrestling and understanding how there are many wrestlers who can get injured or can suffer personally because of the consequences of being on the road 24/7 and the what comes with the job. But anyway, Beyond the Mat, Darren Drozdov was being covered in this documentary along with other people, and his career came to a shattering end when he had a match with D'Lo Brown, and they went to do a power bomb off the top rope, but D'Lo couldn't get Darren Drozdov to sit up properly, and as they landed, Darren Drozdov landed on his head and he broke his neck, and he was left paralyzed with the neck downwards, and now he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I mean, that's on Beyond a Dark Side of the Ring as well. They do cover it. They talk about it as well. But, it's accidents like that. And I mean, I've heard one recently between Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon where they've, Kurt Angle broke his tailbone while he was doing when he took a suplex by Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon had a nasty concussion when Kurt Angle threw him into a plexiglass, which didn't break, and he landed on his head. It's all on there, people, and just go and watch it. So why am I blabbering on about these moments when I should be talking about the fakeness, the quote-unquote fakeness? Listen, if you saw someone with a chair shot to the head and you think, oh, that gotta hurt, it probably did. If you saw someone landing on the mat or outside the ring and you think, oh, that didn't look right, it probably didn't look right. What I'm trying to say is, don't use the word fake as a tool to think you know better. Just look at people from other perspectives, like a wrestling fan. I'm not going to tell people what to watch or anything, and I know I'm repeating myself, but just respect what people like and watch. I love wrestling for what it is, right? I don't care how goofy he is sometimes. I don't care if it's big musky man in tights or whatever, just putting on these fake grappling, whatever. These are tough men who are on the road, or men and women, who are on the road nearly 300 days a year, busting their asses, getting broken bones, bruises, and near life-threatening injuries, and they're doing it purely because they love it and to entertain people. And especially this particular person, Bret the Hitman Hart, who is my next person that I've interviewed in the past. Now, before I mention Bret the Hitman Hart, he has had a lot of injuries in his times. He is also part of the Hart Foundation and the Hart family, and obviously Owen Hart was Bret Hart's younger brother. And we also talk about Owen Hart in this audio clip. Now, what had happened was, this is going back a couple of years ago. I think it was back in 2019. I think it was in the summertime. There was this promotion that was coming into Cardiff, and they were doing a Q&A special with Bret the Hitman Hart. I met Bret Hart before, but I wanted to meet him again, and so I paid about £30 to go and meet him. And when I got there down in Cardiff Bay, I spoken to the promoter and asked him if I can speak to Bret Hart, and he said yes, but it'll have to be afterwards, and it took a long time. I didn't leave the building until I think 1:45 in the morning, and I asked Bret if we can sit down and have a nice conversation. He said, look, we can't do a podcast because of the timing and everything. So I was really disappointed. But he did turn around and said, but you can record our conversation now if you'd like. and I'll answer a couple of questions when I'm signing, autographs for you. And I said, that's no problem. So I put my phone down, I did an audio recording, and I mentioned about his dad, Stu Hart, his brother, Owen Hart, and other couple of bits and pieces. And I was really proud just to speak to Bret Hart and got this piece of audio with me. So, guys, enjoy this one. It's me and a former WWE champion, Bret the Hitman Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, on the Creative Space podcast. Enjoy. Just wondering about Wrestling with Shadows. I always watch it, and it's one of my favourite wrestling documentaries. But I always wondered what was the original purpose for the documentary before the
There wasn't one.
There wasn't.
So they didn't really know. They just wanted to. Paul J, the producer, that he saw me on a interview talking on TV, and he decided to do a documentary on me, and they approached me about it. And then I went to Vince with it, and Vince okayed it, and they had permission, and they followed me around. But right up until they filmed my whole story, right up till they wrapped up shooting at the end of September, as I remember.
Okay,
It was done. And they had the whole film in the can, but they had all the footage.
Okay.
And they were trying to piece it together, and it was the week before the Montreal Screwjob. Paul J called me. He goes, "We got some great footage. We got pictures of you with kids and at the hockey games and at signings and different things." And he goes, "Well, we don't have an ending to this. We got lots of stuff, but there's nothing. There's no hook. There's no." And so I had said to Paul J, I said, "Well, I'm going to have my last match in Canada on the weekend. I'm switching. I'm going to WCW," which he didn't really know much about. He knew a little bit of the intricacies, but that wasn't privy to the documentary.
Okay.
So he said, "Well, we don't have an ending." And I said, "Why don't you film my last match in Canada? Maybe that's a way to end it. I wave at the crowd or something at the end, and it's right into the sunset." And he goes, "Well, we'll come and film it." So that day when I showed up in Montreal, they weren't supposed to be there, but they had all their stickers were good for the year. All their backstage passes and stuff. And when usually Paul J's camera crew comes in the back of I think there's a part in there in the documentary where they show us all coming in the building, me and my kids, and we come in. But Vince and Sean and Triple H and Jerry Briscoe and whoever else was involved, they've been planning for 2 to 3 days, like they're going to screw me. And it's all in motion. And when I walked through that back door with that camera crew, Vince was like, "Oh, God."
That's all you need,
And so they didn't know what to do. They couldn't tip their hand that they were going to screw me. And those documentary guys, they would just say, I remember Paul J goes, "I had a hunch something like this was going to happen." So I remember going, he asked me, he goes, "Do you think they're going to try to screw you?" Or, and I remember saying, they might try, but I don't think they'll get away with it. I was determined not to let it happen, and that's where that whole story.
Oh, fair enough. And just one last question, so we can all go home, go to bed, and everything like that. Your brother Owen, nothing to do with the matches or his passing, because I didn't get a chance. I was only 3 or 4 when he passed on. But as a person, as an individual, what was he like, and what was he like in the wrestling business?
Owen was the most easygoing, lovable, kind-hearted, funny guy. Couldn't resist a practical joke. Couldn't stop. If he saw a joke waiting to be done, or a prank on anybody, whether it was Vince or me or my dad or anybody, he couldn't resist, and he would rib everybody over and over and over.
Do you think he get it from someone, like anyone in the family, like your dad?
He got it from my dad.
From your
dad. Sure. My dad was a master prankster.
Especially shows in the documentary as well, because in the dungeon scene where he's like, "Oh, you were talking about that one guy who's like he's a punk kid. He's like, "Oh, I'll go into the movies." He was like, "Yeah, all right." Then he puts him in the movie. He's like, "Oh, okay."
They used to do these things back in the 40s and 50s. They used to call them Mabel parties.
Mabel parties.
And my dad was he perfected them, and he did them lots of times on wrestlers. But what they were was they'd start talking about some girl that's really hot and really good looking, and her husband's going to be out of town and all this. She puts on a big party for everybody, and pretty easy, very flirty kind of.
Yeah, so easygoing kind of.
An easy shag kind of thing. So it's all set up, and it's
like
nobody's wife. It's just some good-looking girl, and they take her out in a house out in the country, way out, and it's like her husband's gone, and it's all set up. And they talked. I don't know if you ever remember wrestler Antonio the Great.
Yeah, I done research.
He's a big fat guy, big bearded guy that used to pull trucks and stuff. But anyway, they ribbed him. And they talked about this girl and how she wanted to meet, she got big man or whatever it was, and they built this whole thing up. And then they all go to this woman's house for this party. And they all go inside, and there's a girl there, and she's a pretty hot-looking girl, and she's flirting with everybody, and everyone's like, wow, she's the real deal and all that stuff. And she likes you. And they build it all up, and then the husband comes home. Right when she's like maybe kind of flirting with him and getting in a room, they're alone in the room and all that.
And someone goes through the window.
a fake husband, like a pretend, he's usually another wrestler that maybe they don't know, comes in and he's the husband. Yeah. And he had a shotgun with blanks. And he would come in, and then he'd shoot one of the other wrestlers with the blanks, boom, and then the wrestler with the ketchup all over his chest and falls down, and then Antonio the Great comes out of the room, and it's like the injured wrestler's like, run, run, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and Antonio the Great, who's like about 500 pounds, ran for like 40 miles back to tell the police. He went to the police station, and they killed anyway, the police go out, and all the wrestlers are sitting in the room drinking and having a big party.
Like, what happened?
And then the Mountie would come back out and go, it's bad in there. And anyway, it was like always these. My dad mastered those ribs back in the 40s, and he was famous for them. And if you wonder where Owen got it from, you don't have to look far from it.
No, don't look far. Oh, thank you very much, Brad. And it's very time. Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you very much. Good to see you too. Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.vailejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@vailejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. Well, there it is, guys. That was me and Bret Hart at Cardiff Bay talking about a lot of things, especially his family and the world of professional wrestling. But that's also it with the 3 recordings that I'd shown you. That was the 3 wrestlers that I had, and I hope you guys have enjoyed them. Now, I hope you guys really enjoyed me being on my own and talking about my love for professional wrestling and my approach to when people say, oh, it's fake, etc., etc. I promise you that there are going to be more guests on the show, and I promise you there'll be more episodes to come. If you really enjoyed this podcast with me on my own, please feel free to comment or whatever in on social media, on Twitter or on Facebook. Just follow me at Creative Space Pod. Also there'll be links in this description below. But also make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, on my YouTube channel. I also want to say a big thank you to my sponsors, Crafted Art and Veil Jewelry Workshops. Gemma Robertson, you are a diamond. Love you loads. Thank you for the support, and thank you to the businesses that sponsor my podcast to help get to the next level. That is it, guys. I mean, I hope you enjoyed this episode about professional wrestling, because when people are going to ask, why professional wrestling on your podcast? Because it's creative. It's involved with creativity. It's entertainment. You got your heroes, you got your villains, and you got a lot of things. And I hope I did justice by doing this episode, because I did try and find a professional wrestler to come on the show, but it didn't work out. So I felt like I could do this on my own. But without further ado, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Creative Space Podcast. And I've been your host, truly, and there'll be more episodes to come. And Pippa will return one day. So I'll see you all very soon, guys. Take care. Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF627EB. Or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Veil Jewelry Workshops. Veil Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@veiljewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.